Hello, I'm Luke Darcy and welcome to the 2013 wash-up for the Western Bulldogs. Damien Barrett. The Dogs will finish at the bottom reaches of the ladder, but for me the future looks promising. Yeah, it does. Bottom reaches of the ladder, but top reaches of hope, I reckon, even to the point where Peter Gordon, the new president, is actually entertaining the finals word as part of what he hopes could be a possibility for 2014. I'm not sure they're just there yet, Dust, but the back half of the year, really, really good for the Dogs. I think they're absolutely developing. They're well coached and they've got some talent coming through that are all improving, which is a good sign. The season highlight for me for the Bulldogs, Damo, has been the emergence of a handful of father-sons. Mitch Wallis, his father Steve, was a super player over 250 games. Plays great one-on-one tagging roles. Mitch, he's got a big future. Ace Cooney hasn't quite had an injury-free run yet, but he's a very talented player, and I'm still hopeful of him being a 200-game player. So this guy does. He's a superstar, Damo. Liberatore. Tom Liberatore, the #1 clearance player in the game at his age. Superstar. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Gun. And Lockie Hunter, he reminds me a bit of Luke Power. Yep. His father, Mark, was a very good player. So if you pick up father-sons, it goes a long way to improving, especially when they can play as well as those four. You've gone with some kids as a season holder. I've gone with an old-timer, Das, Adam Cooney. I just love the way he's returned to something like his Brownlow medal winning form. We'd forgotten, I reckon a lot of people had, I certainly had, how good this guy was. But there's been times this year that he has shown his absolute high-end talent, and he's won games for the Bulldogs, and more importantly, he's got through a season of footy on the back of an actual pre-season, which he had not done since his Brownlow medal winning year of 08. You hit on the absolute key there, Damon. That's a pre-season and being able to train, and very few players can maintain their standards if they can't run and get out on the track, and he has been able to do that. He's got his knee to a point where he can manage it perfectly. Look at this goal against the Blue Stars, and this sunk Carlton this particular game. That's wrong foot supposedly, and just did that. Really happy that he stayed too, because there was a lot of interest, a lot of serious interest from other clubs. They weren't going to pay him top dollar, but he's decided to stay, and I think great. Yeah, good on Adam Cooney for doing that. Low light for me was another injury to Tom Williams, Damon. Use the word tragedy a little bit too often sometimes, but the respect that he's got from everyone who knows him, he's just an incredible individual, he's an incredible person. He has had the worst run of injuries, and they would love a 6'5" running defender to be part of their makeup. So I hope that he just gets some luck and gets his career back on track. Yeah, my low light is just their inability to find a key forward since Barry Hall took off. It's been a problem. It's been a problem for Brendan McCartney's 2 years at the footy club. And look, there's real promise from people like Tom Campbell and Jared Grant, who's come through, and Tory Dixon's covered holes, but they need a key forward, Das, and I reckon if they go into 2014 without one, it's going to ultimately end up being a very similar year to the one they've just had. They seriously need to go and get a key forward. Who that is, we'll talk about it a bit later, but they need to go and get one. Time for Christmas bonus, Damo. Who do we want to reward for their efforts this year? And I would like to start with the big minnow, Will Minson, who has really emerged as a powerful ruckman. He's dominated this part of the ground where he's got his hand to the ball almost more than anyone in the history of the game. Could you see it coming, Das? I couldn't. Oh, look, I felt he always was capable. The fact that he's been able to do it single-handedly has really suited him. He's always been a good competitor, but I think he's been well coached. I think he's been told to play within his limitations. He was giving away free kicks too regularly in the past. Now he's added a little bit of that to his game, and well-deserved. He's worked really hard. So I'm going with Dale Morris for my Christmas bonus. I've got a real soft spot for this player, and more as a bloke. If there's a better guy going around in the AFL, I don't know who it is, and I'm glad he's been given one more year. But what he's done this year, Das, when he's actually been able to get some form of pre-season in, and just to show that the broken leg that he suffered a couple of years ago, it's behind him now. And even at this very late stage of what's already been an outstanding footy career, he's still a crucial member of what goes on. Yeah, it's an incredible effort and a well-deserving player of getting your Christmas bonus, Damo. That's all the positive stuff. Now we've got to put it on the line and go to the chopping block. And who should not be there next year? And I'm sorry for young Patrick Vespremi, but he came from Sydney, talented player, has been in the system probably just too long, and I just don't think it's going to work out for Paddy Vespremi, and he won't be there next year for me. Das, the guy I'm putting on the block is one I've loved watching, and I actually hope I'm going to be wrong on this, but Daniel Cross's future needs to be assessed by the footy club. He spent time in the VFL this year for good reason, but admirably, and you wouldn't expect anything other than being admirable for this guy, Daniel Cross. He's got back in and is playing okay again, but I just think for the future of this footy club and those youngsters you identified earlier on, I think they probably need to make, as hard as it's going to be for him
team and the club, I think they need to make a hard call on Daniel Cross, just for the benefit of the club in the big picture.
I hope you don't run into any Western Bulldogs players on Mad Monday, Damo. No more love figure than Daniel Cross at that club, and that is a very hard call to make. But they've got a decision on that one. Where do the Western Bulldogs need to improve, Damo? I want to chat to you about that. Yep. And I think, and I'm not sure it's possible, but when you get a promising young key forward, and we keep hearing about Tom Boyd as a superstar #1 draft pick, I would throw everything I could, every club, to try and secure that. They set up your future, Damo, going back to your previous point.
Yep.
If they can find a way to trade everything...
Well, let's get real. How do they get him?
Well, I don't know what the GWS will accept, whether it's future draft picks, whether it's current draft picks, if they can give up a player to get the deal done. I don't know what that package entails, Damo, but I think they should throw everything they can at trying to get him.
Yeah, I do agree, but I think what's even more pressing, because it's a big picture decision if they go after Boyd and somehow get him, and it's unlikely. They've just got to get a key forward, Das. And whether it is Crameri, who doesn't fit the key forward, I suppose, terminology, does he really? But they've got a good offer in front of him. It's been in front of him now for some time. His teammate at Essendon, Scott Gumbleton's another target. Whether it's one of those two guys, Gumbleton has to get out of Essendon. He's not going to be part of their future, as we've seen it this year, in terms of holding down centre-half forward in that coaching structure. So I think it's going to be one of those two, maybe both of them, and at least it would be a starting point to what they've got to get to.
OK, let's look ahead to 2014. Damo, where have you got the Western Bulldogs finishing next year?
I really like them, Das. On what they've done at the back end of this year, they're going up. Not into the finals, but they're going up. Maybe 8-9 wins.
Yeah, I think they'll finish this year with maybe 7 wins, and I think that's about next year. I'll be happy with that. 7 or 8 wins for the Western Bulldogs in 2014. With the development and the improvement of players, they're going to have to get rid of some experienced players and get the development of the young players in 2014. Damo, that has been the wash-up for the Western Bulldogs in season 2013.